Now that we have the decals built for the side of the car, we're ready to go back into Maya and begin the process of assigning those textures to the geometry. Okay, so let's go back over to Maya and pick up where we left off. So the first thing we can do now is under any one of these views, let's go ahead and go back to Panels and open up the Hypershade. Okay, so the first step that we're going to go through is going to be similar to what we had to do with the hood. Sort of the same thing. If we were to assign the decals to the existing car paint, what we'll wind up with is decals all over this car. So let's go ahead and do pretty much what we had to do with the hood. We can start out with a new layered shader. Okay, and then we can just open up that layered shader and bring in these two existing nodes for the base color of the paint. Okay, so we can go ahead and just remove these nodes, bring in the new highlight, restack these. So again, what we have is now an identical layered shader. And let's go ahead and call this sidecar. Okay, now let's go ahead and start to bring in the decals for this. We'll do this the same way with the hood. Let's start out with a Lambert. Okay, and underneath the Lambert 6, we'll call this side decals. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on the File, Texture. Okay, and we'll go ahead and bring in this body color. Okay, and you can see now here's the file that we created in Photoshop. Since it had an alpha channel on it, it went ahead and made the transparency. So let's go ahead and open up this sidecar shading network. And let's bring in this side decal and bring it up to the top. Okay, and now what we should be able to do is, let's go ahead and now just select these 4 pieces. Okay, and with those 4 pieces selected, let's go ahead and now assign this sidecar to the selection. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look real quickly at what we've got in the render view. Okay, so in our render view, here's what we get back with the decals on the back and pretty much every place that we added them, including up here around the front area where we went ahead and put the mud textures. So that pretty much covers the actual decal and texturing portion that we're going to be doing in Photoshop. Let's go ahead and before we finish up this video, let's add just a few more nodes to some of these areas, like say the tires and also for the spoiler. So what we can do is go ahead and just add a few additional material nodes for those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and just go to a split view, and I'm just going to click on this button down here, which is a perspective and perspective and hypershade. And this will just make it a little bit easier for me to see both the hypershade and what I'm doing here, and it'll let you see that a little bit easier too, since we're kind of limited on screen space. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is let's go ahead and make a new blend. Okay, and this blend, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, and this blend is going to be the new texture or the new material for this inner part of the tire. So we can just call this inner rim or something just to where you can keep track of it. And the inner part of these rims I actually want to be more of a black color, sort of like a street racer style. So what we can do is go ahead and make this, you can either make it completely black or more of a charcoal black. If you make it more of a charcoal black, you're a little more likely to see shadows and things like that a little bit easier. So I usually try not to do just a pure black. And it'll come out plenty dark, I think, in the render. Like I said, it just, I think, makes it a little bit easier to see some of the shadows whenever you don't use just a pure black. Okay, so assign that to selection. Okay, so now we have sort of the black inner rims in the areas that we need it. Let's go ahead and add a new material to the back of this tailpipe. And this tailpipe is going to be a blend also. And I can just call this blend tailpipe. And let's take a look at what we've got with this. If I go ahead and just assign this material to the selection, so that now that this tailpipe's got just that color to it, let's just take a look real quickly at how this looks with just that blend attached to it. Okay, so here's what the tailpipe looks like with just the default blend attached to it, and it looks pretty good, but I really want this to have more of a chrome kind of look to it. Right now it looks more like a shiny plastic right now. So one of the things that we can do to really make this more of a metallic or a chrome color is, first of all, let's go ahead and take the color all the way up to a white. Okay, and the one material that the one attribute that really makes a lot of difference is this one, diffuse. So if you were to take this diffuse down, it in the material node preview, it actually turns it black, and it also turns it black here in your perspective view. But when you render, it'll actually be much more of a mirrored sort of metal material. If you wanted to, you could also increase your specular color, or even increase your specular roll-off to make it look more of a metallic color. Okay, so with this color set to a white, and also your diffuse set down very, very low, let's take a look at what this tailpipe looks like now. And now you can see that the tailpipe's got much more of a chrome look to it, much more of a shiny metallic look, which is really what we want. Okay, now I think I just have one other material that I think I need to assign, and that's up here on the spoiler. And the spoiler, I'm going to go ahead and make it more of a sort of a carbon black color. So I'm going to go ahead and let's use a blend. Okay, so what I can do is just assign that blend to these three pieces. Okay, and I'm going to make this not quite a pure black, but like I said, sort of a charcoal black. Okay, and what I can do is, just to make sure it picks up a little bit of a highlight, I can go ahead and lower the specular color down quite a ways, and then also take the reflectivity down to, let's say, something like 0.1, so that it picks up very little reflectivity and very little highlight. So it's not just pure black, but you can still see some of the highlights and the shadowing that can happen on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our final render. Okay, so here's what we've come out with. And this actually, I think I said a little bit ago, this is our final render. It's not quite our final render. We've still got one more piece to do, and that is adding a new grill to this front area. Okay, and we'll do that in the next video.